In this video, we will write and improve a program. We'll write a new program to improve a program that we previously wrote, and the program in question is basically this. So this is the program that we wrote previously, which counts the number of a given file type in a folder, but this time we will use iteration to do so, and by doing that we will make the program more accurate. So let's create a new file by count file type iter, and I will copy these lines because those will be the same. We will need those, so we will still count. We will still be counting we'll still be working with the files inside our system directory folder. And as you might remember, the way we get a list of those files is by importing this OS module and then calling the list dir function inside of the OS module. So we now have a file list to work with, and now what we can do is we can check. So first we will create a temporary variable called count. So count would be 0 first, and then for file, and so if I just say file, then file is actually a keyword inside Python. I can say that. I think Python would not mind, but it is not a good practice to use these reserved keywords inside Python. So let's not do that. Let's call it my file inside file list. So this reads just like English. So for my file and file list, what I would like to do is check if the file name. So okay, what I can do is, so I can call it file name. So for file name inside file list, I can check if file name ends with ends with, remember that's a string function, with our query. If it does, if it does, then we can increase count by 1. This means count is equal to count plus 1. So add 1 to count. Okay, and if we do this throughout the entire file list, we should be able to count all the different, so basically all the given all the let's say all the DLL files, all the exe files, all the types of file that is defined by the query here, and then we can print out. So I'll just copy that from our previous example here, print that out. Not here, because then it will be printed out every time the for loop executes. We don't want that. After the for loop has executed, we can say this is fine. Yes, query and count are still relevant here. So let's execute that. So save that and execute it. So Python and count file type iter. Okay, so .exe. Seems like there is a bug. Stupid me. Of course we cannot put query inside quotation mark. Then, well, if the then you're checking if the file ends with the string query, not the query input. We cannot do that, of course. So .exe. Okay, yeah, that is the correct one, because so now we can basically verify this. So we can go to the count file types and do the same thing. Count file types .exe. Okay, so here I did the exe count for a reason, because here you see there is a little bit of a discrepancy, and this is the correct number. So our methodology here was to join all the names into a large string and then count occurrence inside that string. So it is possible to name a file like this. So I mean I can name a file that is So this dot exe or something along those lines. So if I do this, or this dot exe, or let's say executable dot exe, even can rename that dot py. So in this case, so if I have a file like this is a valid Python file, but so when we are doing the counting using this method, when we are joining the string into a long string and counting the occurrence of .exe, this file will actually be counted as a valid member. But using this type, where we are checking if the file name ends with the particular string, then this will not be counted, because the file name, although it contains .exe, doesn't end with it. So this end with method is the correct way of checking how like counting file types basically. So you can see this is an improvement over the last thing we did. That's how we should actually approach this kind of a thing. You can think of improving this program a little bit. So what we can first do is, so we can so once we have printed this out, we can ask the user if the user wants to continue or not, and we can, so basically we can put this entire thing inside of a while loop. So we'll say flag, and by default the flag is true. So we'll say while flag don't think the package is necessary, but I'll still do it, and then do this entire thing, and after that ask the user if they want to continue. Okay, wait, hang on, not like that. So ask the user repeat is equal to input input count another type. And what is usually done is you can ask, you can give the user what you are expecting. So this is a yes no question. If you want to continue, you will basically say yes y, capital Y, and if you don't want to continue, then you will say no. And then what we can do is check. So if repeat is y, or we can say repeat equal to y, both are similar, both are equivalent in this case. If repeat is equal to y, then we set the flag, then we don't do anything. Okay, so if equal to no, then we set the flag to false. And by doing this, so if the user says no, then the flag becomes false, and then the while loop exits, and then there is nothing, so then there is nothing else to do. So then the program will basically quit, but we can prepare, we can basically write a finish statement here. So let's run this, clear that out of there, and then we will run our, so Python count file types iter.py, yes. So .exe, count another type, yes, but again the thing comes up, so .exe or to .dll again. Okay, and this time if I say no, then it says finish and exits. So this is how you can basically, so this is a good example of using a while loop, where you need to repeat a bunch of code forever until something changes at runtime. but you have to be very careful so that this flag becomes false at the appropriate time, otherwise this program will never exit. So this is an example of counting file types inside a folder. I wrote another implementation of this. So this is a little bit slightly, you can say, advanced version of this thing that we just did. So here what I have done is I created the same kind of list, and then I split each of the file names by dot and chose the last one. So I am making a list of only the extensions. So and imagine if you have 10 files, you split off all the extensions and make a list of them, and then I am casting that list to a set. What that does is just keeps the unique versions. So if you imagine, if you have 10 exe files, 5 DLL files and 1 PNG file, this list will just contain the unique element. So you will just have .dll, .exe and .png. So all the duplicates are removed by this set process. This is, by the way, a built-in data type inside of Python. You can see built in an unordered collection of unique elements, and then I am iterating through that list of extensions that I have got, and then I am counting the number of times that particular element, so the one particular extension occurs inside that extension list that I previously got. So what this gives me, and then I am printing that out basically. What that gives me is a nice list of file type versus their count. So capital.dll has, there are 225 files that has capital.dll extension, and there are only one CMD file, there are 301 exe files, there are 2005 DLL files, 13.rs files, I don't know what those are, there are 2 TLB, 11 TLB files separately, and so on. So 4 XML files. So you can see that this is kind of interesting. So you can get a statistics of how many types of files or what kinds of files are in there in a particular directory and all that. What I have also done here is I have specified a cutoff. So if length of an extension, so after I split it off and got the list of extension, I consider a valid extension to be 4 characters long. So if extension is more than 4 characters long, then it would not appear inside of this list, because there are lots of files inside this system32 folder. So if I basically go here, Windows system32, you'll see there are lots of folders first of all. So those will show up, and there are lots of files that just have no extensions. There are a few files in here that just have no extensions. So that is not what I am looking for. And also the folders, there are lots of folders. So all of these things will just show up with no extension, and that will mess up what we are trying to do here. So as a simple, we can actually, there are ways to check whether a given thing is a file or a folder, and we can choose to exclude folders and all that. But here, as a very simple example, I just chose to consider the extensions that are only 4 words or less. So usually an extension is a 3-word thing, but 3-letter thing, but I just extended it to one more and just called that a valid extension. And by doing that, I mostly get the most important extension types at least. There are 9 PNG files. Okay, so that is it. If you don't understand this, how this works, maybe ask me or ask my brother, and we will clarify that for you. And hopefully you understood this. This is a bit simpler of an example, but this is how you use all of these various elements of programming language: the data types, the if statements or the conditional statements, and of course the iteration. So from now on, in the next lessons we will look at functions, and that would actually wrap up the basic introduction to Python. Just knowing these things will give you a solid enough foundation of Python to be able to, so that you can just start working with it and learn on your own. There are a lot more to Python than just these things, but these are as a foundation, these are solid enough. So after so next we will discuss functions. See you there.